Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Oh
How
my
are
God,
you?
it's such an honor to to talk to you because I've been wanting to interview you for the longest, but I get
Really?
how could I say during because before quarantine started, before all this chaos,
Yeah.
I always like to do my interviews always in person. I never like to do like
I feel
this.
you. I
You know,
feel you.
you know what I'm saying, right? It's I like the in person. It's just, but I guess I had to come to terms with what's going on right now. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is a great time to, ask you. So I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Of course. I was checking out your stuff and you just have such a beautiful spirit. I said, of course, why wouldn't I? I'm
Uh,
so grateful that you asked me to
Thank you.
chat.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. But, first I want to ask you, how's quarantine been for you and your family? Because, it's like every week is a new, a new week for us and we don't know what the
Yeah.
pros and cons are.
Yeah, dude. I've been literally like hashtagging the last days. I have no idea. Like it just feels very apocalyptic right now.
Uh,
Um, I gotta tell you the truth. Quarantine for me has been, I would say more busy,
okay.
which
That's
is
a good thing.
crazy. But we're blessed, man. Like I know that that's not the case for so many people, and I don't want to
Yeah.
be insensitive at all. But I really, I was looking past through it all, and I'm like, wow, I'm thanking God that I'm healthy, my family's healthy, that we've been able to survive. Um, None of my relatives or immediate family lost their businesses, so
Hmm.
that you got to be thankful for. We
Yeah.
still have food, we still have health and a
Yeah.
shelter. So it's been okay. My
It's a,
mom actually moved in from New York with us.
oh, that's
um,
great.
yeah, so it was an interesting time to actually move in. She meant to move in later in the year, but once Corona went crazy in New York, I'm in Orlando now, and I said, "Come here, get away from that." And she came
Yeah.
and just wound up moving in early. So like navigating, living with your mom again and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
That's
But
awesome though that she got, like it was perfect timing because
yeah,
in the beginning New York was kind of really the
yeah,
epicenter of like the
yeah.
epic like bad. So it's awesome that yeah, that's how I moved back from LA just to be home in Chicago because it was just
Wow.
I didn't want to be out there alone and I was kind of like I'd
And
rather be
yeah.
I'd rather be safe than sorry
And be
because
around people too, because that's the
exactly.
hard part about quarantine. Since you have to social distance, it can be very lonely, if you
Yep.
don't have your loved ones near. So I feel very blessed. I'm so grateful my mom was actually here. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then, everyone wants their mom when
Yeah,
something
exactly.
bad is going on. So,
Yep. There's nothing like having mom around. There's nothing. I don't care what anyone says. If your mom is still around, you want to be by her.
yes.
It's so funny. But, I want to bring it all the way back, even before you got signed in the beginning, childhood wise. Growing up, what did you want to be? And then when did you know music was kind of your calling, would you say?
Yeah. Um, when you're really little, you think about, I wanted to be everything. Like I
Uh
remember
huh.
saying I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be like a bus driver. Like, like when I was really little. But
Yeah.
around 7 years old, actually, um, music was very instrumental in saving my life. I was just a very negative environment, and in my mind, I was thinking that the only way out was to hurt myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's crazy because, it's like I know 7 year olds now, and like you don't think that they think like that, right?
Yeah.
But I had these very accelerated thoughts as a child, and I just feel like the enemy was whispering the whole time, like, hey, things would be different if you just ended it. Like just
Yeah.
really evil, dark stuff. And then I put on a Mariah Carey cassette tape,
Uh huh.
Daydream, I believe, and it was her song Looking In, the
Yep.
very last
That
track
sounds
on the album.
amazing.
It saved my life.
Yeah, it's life changing that song.
It
I know
saved my
exactly
life.
what you're talking
I
about.
didn't know it at the time. Like, I didn't really know God and stuff. So
Hmm.
I didn't know that God was using that, but like he used something that I loved, music, to save my life. And that song just helped me feel like there was someone else in the world that could
Uh-huh.
relate. And then I cried my little eyeballs out. I felt better. And then from that day forward, I said, I'm going to be a famous singer. That was it. I
That was
went
it.
hard in the paint. I was like, I'm going to be a famous singer. I went around to everyone in the neighborhood. I was so determined. Nothing on this earth was going to stop me. And then a few years later, you know, I got my big break.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's awesome. Like you said, even though it was a negative in a way, but it was great that you seen that other side at a young age. Because, like you said, so many parents don't think like a child could go through things. They're like, oh, they're too young to understand it. And I'm like, no, bullying is really real. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I went through that with bullying, like people just being mean in school and, you know, not understanding me. And, you know, I thought it was okay because you're a kid. You don't know, but
And
kids
you
in
think
school, it's
it's
like
your fault.
torture.
You think it's because of you. Yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
so many things for me. It was bullying. It was just, there was an environment that just wasn't healthy, you know, inside. And then I lived in the hood in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Back then, Bushwick, Brooklyn
Yeah.
was the hood.
But
Now it is like the go-to spot,
I was gonna
but it
say it's
was
the
the
come up.
hood.
It's the place you want to be.
Yeah, you know, I'm so mad at myself. I should have bought property. I would have been like a millionaire right now
Yeah, because everything
with that property.
skyrocketed like
Yeah,
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you know,
yeah,
it's so interesting too that you got signed to Hollywood Records at 16 years old. That's like so like I wanted to ask you because I know it's our time to come out until 3 years or like 2 to 3 years later.
yeah.
So during that time of you being signed, like what did they have you doing in between? Because that's a long and for a child, you're still considered not even a teenager yet. You're still like
Yeah,
a well, no, you are a teenager, but you're like a young teen. I
but
feel.
I was in the studio since I was 11. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
for years. So I was just doing the whole artist development thing that they thought should happen. I'm not even talking about my label. It was more so the production people that I was working with,
Yeah.
really huge pop producers now. But at the time they weren't you know huge yet.
Yeah.
They had some success here and there, but
Uh
now
huh.
they're like out of this world, you
Yeah.
know, pop producers. Um, so they were like trying to develop me, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
make me into whatever they thought a Latina from New York should be. Um, and it just didn't work. It didn't work until I finally wrote with them.
With them.
And so it took a while for them to
Mm-hmm.
realize, you know, because I came to them with my little demo. You know, I don't know if you know the story, but I kind of was discovered in a New York City taxi cab. I was doing,
Really?
yeah, I was doing grocery shopping with my mom. This is like such a, like an incredible New York story. You know, you think like,
Yeah.
um, and I was singing to the radio, and the cab driver was also a limo driver. And, you know, like,
Uh,
listen, you know, you'd be surprised if I don't bust out singing during this interview, but I'm
yeah.
always singing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I started singing in the car. For like, didn't even faze me that there was another person that I didn't know in the car. And we get to my house,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, "You are so beautiful. You have a beautiful voice. You know, do you have a demo? Like, I'm a limo driver, and I drive around famous people in the industry
Uh,
all the time." And that's legit how it happened.
oh my, that's like a fairy tale. Like,
I ran upstairs. I had a little cassette tape,
uh huh.
karaoke cassette tape, and I also had like one little demo that I recorded. And I brought it back to him, and like a couple weeks later, I got the call from a major manager in the industry. And yeah, so from that, like it took some time because
Mm-hmm.
I was just this young ghetto girl who got discovered, you know, in the
Yeah.
beginning. So it took them a couple years to realize we keep trying to make this girl into what we think she should be. And then finally I said, you know, I write, like just let me
Yeah.
write. And that's how it happened. So then Hollywood, that's when Hollywood kind of, there was Hollywood and a few other labels actually that showed interest. But I decided to go with Hollywood.
You know, and it's great too. I feel with Hollywood at that time because I know Hollywood is like Disney. But at the same point, I'm happy that they didn't, how could I say? I know you were probably told a lot what to do because at that time, like you said, artist development and all that stuff, they kind of paint this picture.
Well,
But at the
I
same
gotta say
point,
this. Usually that's how it happens. But because I had experienced that with the producers, because I was
uh-huh,
signed to a production deal and all that, when I got to Hollywood, I literally, like, I walked into that office with all the executives there and I said, listen, I'll sign with you guys if you let me do what I know I should be doing. I don't
yeah.
want you to change me. And I was like this, I was out of my mind, but I was just like
But that's
fearless.
awesome. You had that in
I
you
was
at that young of
fearless.
age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's what appealed to them. They were just like, this girl is crazy and she's like captivating. So so that's kind of I think what happened. And of
Yeah.
course, they still, it's like you let somebody do what they want, but then you still put the
The
boundaries,
little
right? So
tuck.
they
Yeah.
can't go. It's like the bowling ball. You can't go all wild.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like, but I loved it because Hollywood, I feel so many people that were signed to Hollywood Records, I feel were like a Disney kid, or you knew them as like, oh, they were with Disney, and you didn't feel like that.
No, I
They
was.
put you like with music, like on top 40. You were on, the mainstream, which I love because a lot of Hollywood records, I feel like they're so Disney, where it's like that Disney Channel audience, the younger
Yeah,
crowd.
I
I'm
was
so happy
totally
they
the
did that.
anomaly there. I mean, I was
Yeah.
the bad girl on Disney. Like, yeah, I mean, they eventually all became bad girls, but I was
Yeah.
like, I probably corrupted everything. No, I'm just kidding. I was totally like, just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't need that. And like Disney was great because I did have opportunity. I don't know
Hey.
what happened. Maybe Disney banned us.
I know, right? They're everywhere. They're even on IG Live. That's so funny. But, like you said, you were writing. I think you left off with you were writing for them as well. How was that, though, having it? Because, like you said, them checks are amazing, and Disney
Yeah.
money is great money.
I mean, I didn't even realize how spoiled I was.
Yeah.
And I was a minor at the time as well. So, they took care of me. At that time, the labels were still doing, they were doing things that labels don't do now.
Yeah.
Like I had an allowance to live plus the income that I was making off shows and gigs and stuff like that. So yeah, to have like a label pay for you to an allowance, like pay an allowance like that,
Yeah.
that was incredible. And then I started writing for Disney soundtracks.
Uh-huh.
That's So Raven, Jump In, just a couple of Disney stuff, and it was just I can't even remember all of them. There were so many things, and I feel great about it. I did have to tone the edge down,
Yeah.
so like I had to rewrite stuff for them, and then also to I wrote stuff, and like I've always been God conscious.
Yeah.
Now
Hmm.
I'm definitely like sold out, but
Yeah.
at the time I was just God conscious. And I remember writing like, thank God, I made it to another day. It was one of the lines,
Uh-huh.
and they made me change it. They're like, you can't say God on Disney, so you
Really?
have to change it. Yeah, so that was one thing that really was like, what kind of a weird
Yeah,
thing is
that's
that?
true. I mean, I get it, but at the same point, I don't. Like, that's not nothing bad to say. But I mean,
Yeah, and
whatever.
I'm
I got.
sure I could say a lot worse. Like, I
Yeah.
was allowed to say things that were actually like a little questionable, but yeah, I couldn't say that. Whatever.
It's so interesting. What else is so interesting? With doing research for this interview, I didn't realize that. How could I say? It's Our Time was your first official single.
It was,
I
yeah.
always think Crowded was, which I knew It's Our Time, but I don't know why I thought Crowded was first. I don't know. I guess at that time you
Well,
couldn't really
Crowded
look
was
up
the
stuff as
bigger. It was
much.
the bigger song.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
why. I'm
it's
not
it's Our
sure.
Time was kind of the soft launch. It was like the soft launch, and
Okay.
then we went with Crowded. Yeah.
Okay. And how was that whole because I know them two singles were out before the album even dropped. How was it though and you worked with some dope people, features on both of like
Yeah.
Nori and I mean, Papoose and who what's his name? Oh my God, John Starr.
Yeah,
how,
describing NATO. Yeah.
yeah, how was it just, because like you said, you were so young and you had some heavy hitters on as features.
Yeah, I mean, I went in, I came out the gate swinging.
Uh-huh.
And I got, I don't know what's happening.
It's IG Live. It's okay.
Oh,
It's,
okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't do it often, so I don't
yeah,
know if it's on my end.
it happens all the time. It's fine.
Everyone in the house, turn your Wi-Fi off,
But,
just in case.
just,
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you were still on, because I'm like, what do I do?
but,
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it was surreal. I
yeah.
think about it now, and there's a lot of things that I don't even remember. It's like, it's like I was trying to catch my breath, and in
Uh-huh.
a blink of an eye, it's like if I blinked, I missed it. So, there's times where my sisters, the Ortega sisters,
Uh-huh.
we rolled together a lot, and they would tell me stories, and I'm just like, what? Like
What?
that happened? Remember that time when we were all, in the club and I'm like, what? Like, so it was like that. I mean, that's what you could like, that's the best way to describe that level of fame to
Yeah.
the magnitude that it was. It was just so overwhelming that I
Yeah.
don't even remember a lot. I mean, I do remember, the feelings of like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
This is actually happening. And also the feelings of like, you can't lose yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
lose yourself.
Yeah.
And I did still kind of lose myself.
I think
Because
yeah, it happens. Like
it's
you're
easy
young, you're
to.
having fun. It's the life. I mean, it's the dream that every singer, especially in that day and age, that's when the budgets were there and you had, you know what I'm saying? Like it was
I would
paradise.
walk into a store and be like, I want that, that, and that,
That, no
and
problem.
walk out.
Yeah, like
There was that. It was just surreal. Limos everywhere. I didn't get my license till recently.
yeah,
you know, I've been so used to being driven
yeah.
that I didn't even think of any of that. So, and that was all happening during these instrumental times where people are thinking about going to college and,
Hmm.
securing a career. For me, it was like, this is my career. I am in my dream, and I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I was still that girl from the hood, that's like, I'm bringing my peeps with me, no man left behind. Like we in here. I started from the bottom, now we
But
here, like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you want to take everyone with you, all your
Yeah,
family, close friends. And I
yeah,
loved at that time too. That's when like the Latin sensation was taken over, and I was so excited because like
yeah,
female wise, it was I remember you, Natalie, Paula Deanda, it was J Lo, Shakira. I mean
yeah,
Frankie J, Baby Bash, Little Rob. I mean Nina
yeah.
Sky. I mean it was a whole
Daddy
takeover.
Yankee.
Daddy
That's when Daddy
Yankee.
Yankee went mainstream. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was awesome to see everyone coming and speaking English language albums, and now it's the reverse. Latin's back,
I
but
know.
everyone's speaking
The
Spanish
Spanish.
on top
Yeah,
40, which is awesome. That we
it
don't have
is.
to go to English to get that.
Yeah.
But you know, I know because your first, so the album comes out. What was it? Well, I actually have the dates. Let's see. That was August 1st. No Place Like Brooklyn came out, 2006. It's crazy. I feel like I bought
My
that album.
first baby.
Yeah, I feel like I bought that album yesterday. Like it's so
Wow.
crazy.
That's
But
good. That's a good thing. Okay, so what was the question?
I'm sorry.
How much did I?
Nope. Yeah, how much like input? Like I know you said you got to write on it and they let you. How much exactly like did they say like okay we're gonna give you full reign, or was it more like collaboration? Would you say
I wrote every single song but one song on my album.
that is amazing?
I collaborated a lot, and
Mhm.
I love doing that because you get to bring different worldviews into,
Yeah,
a topic and stuff. So that was awesome. But I wrote on every single song of the album, and everything that I did was like my creative. There were things that I wanted to say. I
that's
wasn't
awesome.
forced to say anything. The one song that I didn't write was the edgiest song on the album. And I probably wouldn't have, I wouldn't, like Jeannie wouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
particularly, but I was trying to be real cute at the time, you know. So I kind of agreed to do it.
Okay. That's awesome though, because that's like unheard of. Because most people never write. At least I feel like the first 2, 3 albums, if anything, they wrote like maybe a line on one song. So that's amazing. You got that opportunity off your first album. Like that's unheard of. I feel even still today.
Well, yeah, and I remember, you know, Papoose did a Music Choice interview for me. And he talked about it, and he's like, you know, I didn't even know he did an interview, and they had asked him about me. And he was just like, you know, I really respect the fact that she writes her own music. Like, no one else does that. Yes. You know, and at the time, I didn't even know. I just knew that I was going to. Like, I basically was like, I can't have you be my voice. I need to be my voice. Yeah, you know, it's really crazy the way I just kind of went in and I'm like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and it worked.
They were just like, okay, yeah. You know what you're talking about, you know. And I was so fortunate for that. You know, somewhere along the line, I did kind of lose myself. I lost, you know, the reason why I got into music was because music, you know, what Mariah did for me. It had power to help people feel better. And I wanted to do that. But somewhere along the line, I got caught up. I started to want to give the people what they wanted, you know, instead of what they needed. Yeah. And I feel like in the midst of that, even though I was so hardcore about not losing my voice, I still kind of lost my voice.
Yeah, that's understandable. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's the music industry, and I know, you know, it gets crazy, and it's exciting, though. I mean, that's, like I always say, those are the glory days.
You become like a people pleaser. That's what happened.
Yeah, and like those are the days where everything was great. Like the label, to be on a label today, it's such a different story. Especially a huge major label, it's like not even worth it.
Yeah, people tell me all the time, like, why don't you try to get a deal? And I'm like, when you have a taste of freedom and creative control, and you're able to do things like what we're doing right now, you know, and market yourself and do things like that, you know, you don't really need to unless you know, you want to do whatever their agenda is. And like, I'm a rebel. I've always been a rebel. You know, I'm like, you know, I got to do what I was made to do. You know, you can't put me in a box, you know. Like, I don't know if you know that Lauryn Hill song, but, you know, I get out of all your boxes. That's like my life theme.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I also want to talk about, you toured on Rihanna's first world tour, because I remember that was her first tour for, what was it, the Girl Like Me album? Yeah. 2006? That's crazy. And that was Europe, right? That wasn't even really here, was it?
No, we did. Yeah, we did. We did a lot of dates in.
Was it here? Okay.
Yeah, and Canada, and
How was it though? Like, because that was awesome.
I mean, at the time, Rihanna was the good girl and I was the bad girl. So the roles were very reversed. So, you know, she's a sweetheart. She was such a sweetheart, very nice and kind and gentle. And I was like a bullhorn, you know, I was like a bull in a china shop, like literally like out of my mind, you know, get out of my way. Like, you know, that kind of, like, I came to do, you know, what I was born to do. Like, that was kind of my attitude. But it was a blast. You know, my brother was my tour manager at the time.
That's awesome.
My older brother. So it was just incredible. You know, we were just like kids, you know, having a blast, traveling the world, getting cultured, you know, different world views. That was the first time that I had an experience like that. You know, when you grow up in the ghetto and, you know, like the first time I got on a plane, like, was to go to California to get my record deal. Yeah. You know, so that it was just, so yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. And after my show every night, Rihanna was so sweet. She'd be like, oh girl, you killed it. You're so dope. And, you know, she'd like something new that I did every time. You know, and I was just kind of like, okay, thanks. Like, you know, like such a New York snob. But she was a sweetheart, really, really was a sweetheart. And, you know, then after that tour was, I don't know, you know, I get made fun of a lot. They're just like, look what you did to Rihanna.
Oh, because
Yeah,
the
how
following
could you
album
have done
was
that
Spirit
to
Girl Gone
her?
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was just crazy because we like legit switched, like, in terms of courses. And then I was just like, okay, there's got to be more to life than what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And she was just like, I like that bad girl stuff. Let's do more of that.
It's so funny. And what did you? Because that was like your first major tour. What was something you learned from touring? Like you said, seeing new cultures and stuff. What's one thing you really took away that you didn't know that really you kept with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how. I didn't know the lack of diversity that was in the United States. That's for sure. Like
Yeah.
growing up in New York City, you see everybody and you kind of embrace everybody. You eat all types of foods. You embrace all the different cultures, and traveling the United States, because that was my first takeaway is like, whoa, like there's not a lot of people that look like me or act like me, like anywhere.
It's
So that
crazy.
was a really weird experience for me. And it helped me really appreciate growing up with the worldview that I already had. So that was something. And then, let's see. I mean, it was just more of, I had to grow up really fast.
Yeah.
I had to be an adult and learn like disciplines and be out there for sound check on time and all these things that little girls don't usually think about. They're thinking about school and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I was also in school, so I'm like, I got to get some schoolwork done. But I'm a star, so
Yeah.
it
I
was
can
crazy.
imagine it's a lot to juggle, like you said, with school. Like you said, you kind of have, I guess you would say, like an ego because you're living the life. You're
Oh yeah,
a
I was a
teenager.
prideful
Yeah.
little jerk.
It's so funny. But I know also you went on another tour, I think right after. It was with like Nina Sky. I forget
Yeah,
who else. It was a couple.
Frankie J,
Who was
Luis
Frank?
Fonsi.
Yes, yes, that
Yeah,
one. I forgot the
that was
title of it.
phenomenal. That
But
was
yeah,
so.
how was that?
That was out of this world. I'm a Latina,
Uh
but
huh.
I grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm a New Yorican.
Yeah.
And I hadn't embraced my culture as richly as I did on that tour because it was a Latin tour for
hmm
McDonald's. And just to have, all these like huge stars on the road together. We all had different
Yeah.
genres of music, which was so cool. I was like, me and Frankie J were the pop
Uh
stars.
huh.
Nina Sky, they were doing their reggaeton thing, and
Uh huh.
Luis Fonsi was just straight, Spanish, and then there was another group, Los Orishas, who were just like straight salsa, and it was just, I mean, we had a blast.
Yeah.
Literally, we would tour. It was crazy because it was like 6 people on the lineup, right?
Uh
So
huh.
we'd have like a 4-hour show or whatever, ridiculous, like so long. And then after we'd be on the tour bus, on somebody's tour bus, and we'd be listening to music and
Dancing.
dancing and just like we're crazy, a bunch of crazy Latins, like keeping the party going. Like in
Yeah.
the tour bus. It was really, that to me was one of the best experiences of my life. And I think it was because it really introduced me to my culture in a way that
hmm
musically that
Yeah.
I hadn't known. And
And
it
like
was
you
just
said, all of it
great.
intertwined, all different genres. It wasn't just pop
Yeah.
music. It wasn't just. That's awesome when it's all,
And we
at
were
one
like
show.
family. We were like family, And I wasn't sure that was going to be the case. You never
Yeah.
know. But we were just all like family. It was a blast.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome to know because, like you said, you don't. Sometimes with tours, you never see the main act or your co-headlining act. They're just kind of don't want to be
Yeah.
bothered. It's a quick hi, picture. Okay,
No,
see
yeah.
you. May not see you ever on the tour again, but we're on the tour
Yeah.
together, which is crazy because it happens a lot today.
Yeah.
And
I think McDonald's made sure that we had a lot of opportunities to do things together.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that I think that's what helped. They would like book us to do like autograph signings or commercials together,
hmm
things like that, and it kind of really helps to just fuse us together.
That's awesome to know because I feel like it needs to be done more especially with tours.
Agreed.
So many people are, like, I remember, I forgot who I was in here, and they're like, oh, we never met the main act. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
I
Like,
know. That does
how?
happen. I mean, I'm crazy though. I'd be the one that's like, "Hey, I'm Jeannie. Hi,
Jimmy,
I'm opening up for you."
yeah, like, that's how I feel like it should be.
Yeah, you're gonna know me.
Yeah, right? It's crazy. But that's what else you brought up, too. Like, you were on some, like, it's crazy that soundtracks aren't big anymore. Because, like, there's
Crazy.
still some soundtracks, I
Hmm.
guess. Like, this year, like, the movie Respect will probably be a huge soundtrack
Oh
with
yeah,
Aretha
I was
Franklin.
on the set of that movie. Whew, just be prepared. That was
Yeah, I was
incredible.
supposed to be. I was mad. I didn't.
I
I'm good.
probably would have met you then.
I'm good friends with Jennifer, and she told me to come, but I was living in LA, and I didn't want to. It was just so much going back and forth. But I regret. I wish I would have went now
Yeah,
because.
it was powerful. I mean, I witnessed a church scene that she did that, like, I mean, she just kind of like did her own thing, and
Uh huh.
the spirit of God just
Yeah.
came in, and this girl just,
Yeah.
I mean, we were all like in tears.
Dear-
Like, this
yeah.
was supposed to be acting, and like that didn't happen. It was such a real experience. Like, it was just, oh, I
I
can't
can't
wait for
wait.
people to see that.
I'm so excited. Like, because when they pushed it back a little to December, I was like, oh, whatever. You gotta wait for the best ever. So I
Yeah,
can't wait.
you want to have the best chance,
Exactly. Yeah.
the
Especially
world
with
that we're
what's
in now.
going on. Yeah. Craziness. But you were on huge soundtracks like Love Don't Cost a Thing, Freedom Riders, like you said, That's So Raven, Jump In. I remember Jump In was a huge Disney movie with Corbin Bleu and Kiki Palmer. Like
Yeah.
like how was it having those bodies of work out? Because that's when you still bought CDs that were soundtracks. I just remember going to Target and Walmart and
I
Best
mean, I
Buy.
made a lot of fans. I made a lot of young fans, doing, like the jump in,
Uh
for
huh.
instance, and stuff like that. Um, I mean, that's where the money was. There
Yeah.
was some really good money in that, so that was pretty awesome. And then I also toured. I toured with the Freedom Riders,
Oh,
for the
okay.
Freedom Riders movie. I toured with them, for the movie, which was so crazy. So I was like I was the only person on the soundtrack that was able to tour with all the actors
Uh
for
huh.
their press tours and stuff, and it was amazing. We
Yeah.
they wanted to hear from somebody that was like one of the students in the
Uh
movie,
huh.
so they're like, Jeannie, she's on the soundtrack. She's probably the closest thing. We should have her join, the tour, and like, I made one of my closest friends today, April Lee Hernandez, who played the lead Spanish girl in the
In the
movie.
movie. Uh huh.
Yeah, we're still like extremely close, and we talk, and we pray together, and we talk about the industry together, and so it was just, soundtracks. People don't realize, they think it's just like, oh, it's just the soundtrack of a
Yeah.
movie. But yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of money is made in the industry,
Yes.
and then also I had great opportunities to even tour for that. So
Yeah. I just wish they would come back more because it's not. Soundtracks aren't. I
yeah,
miss them because like I liked it because so many soundtracks had them, like you said, one exclusive song from an artist that you liked, and it wasn't on their album. You had to
yeah,
buy the soundtrack, and
yeah.
so many soundtracks aren't even available on like Apple Music or nothing, which I don't get why. Because it's
That's
like,
weird.
yeah, like so many soundtracks I looked up, I had to literally go on like eBay or Amazon and find a CD version of it because I can't. It,
Wow.
or on YouTube you can find it, but I want it. Like I don't want it from
Yeah,
YouTube. I want something. So
yeah.
it's crazy. But tell me about too, like, how was it leaving Hollywood Records? How was that for you? Because like you said, that's a time when everyone wanted to be signed, and that's when before distribution you had to get it for distribution. How was it for you? Like because you were on a high, and
Yeah.
stuff happens.
I was in the ultimate height of my career, the height of my, pop career.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when my life changed.
Yeah.
I had only became a famous star because I was looking for more.
Yeah.
I'm like, there has to be more to life, than what I had experienced. And I thought music had this incredible ability, and it still does, right?
Yeah.
To translate, right? To transport you and I to this other place. So I thought, okay, that has to be it, right? But then I did that, and I still felt that void. I still felt like, well, what's the point of life? Like, there's still got to be more. I still feel broken. I still feel angry. I still feel, sad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of that, I had an encounter with God. Like, someone
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to God, and in a way
Yeah.
that I had never experienced. And it became from being like this religious thing that like your family tells you
Yeah.
about, to like, I can feel God.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
God
different.
actually loves me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he has a purpose for me. Like, I didn't even know that. Like, my whole life I thought it was up to me to make my purpose. And
Yeah.
then I did. And then still felt that way. And it wasn't until I had that experience that, I was just like, okay, so now I feel fulfilled, and it's not any of the things that I thought it would be, right? Money,
Yeah.
music, men, any of that. So now what? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's my purpose? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think is my purpose? It's kind of like that. And, I just started to, that changed my heart. So out of, what's in your heart is what your mouth speaks.
Yeah.
So I started to like become this little half naked preacher, wherever I went. I was just like, did you know you can feel God? Like, dude, I'm telling you, like, this is what I've been looking and searching for. Like, I feel whole now. I feel whole. I don't feel angry. I don't feel suicidal anymore. Like, that I wanted to share that with other. We need that. Like, I'm like, the world needs that. And and Hollywood Records was like, wait a minute, we signed a bad girl. Who's this Christian girl? And that's where the shift took place for me. And I had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the height of my career. I had a choice. That was, would I go and just go to a different label than now with my message? I mean, I had tons of fans, so anybody would have wanted that.
Yeah.
And I felt like, but I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And I want to know who I am. Like, now I know why I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now I know why I exist, but I want to know who I am. And I didn't know that my identity had become my success or just my experiences. And it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So that's kind of what happened.
That's awesome you realize that though. Like, because so many, like you said, so many people get caught up in it and like, oh, that's it. It's like, no, there's way more purpose in your life.
And you know what? I am so grateful that I didn't realize that later on when I had lost my mind or,
Mm-hmm.
turned to drugs or some kind of other vice. I'm grateful. I'm like, wow, you rescued me. Like, you rescued me right when I needed it. Because, when you feel like something's missing, we as humans, we try to fill those voids. We just do that.
Yeah, it's natural. It's just, it happens.
Yeah. So, I was just grateful that, God sent somebody to me that just helped me, just invited me to church, really, is what happened.
Yeah.
And then there, like, nothing happened. I just had an encounter. Like, I felt God. And it's like, I knew he was talking to me. He was filling me. He was healing me. I mean, I wept. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what in the world is happening to me? It was this burning heart. Like, it was like my heart began to burn. And it was like surgery. It was like healing.
Exactly.
It was healing. So
that's awesome.
That's what happened. And then I'm just like, so what do I do?
Exactly.
So I did nothing. I went from that to, I need to learn who I am.
Yeah.
Before I continue to share, myself with everyone, I need to know what I'm sharing. And so I kind of went on a hiatus for a while and then reemerged.
Yeah. I want to tell you, like, you've been busy. Like, you dropped, what, in the past 10 years, you've dropped 2 albums,
3.
2 EPs. Is it 3 albums?
Yeah.
3 albums, 2 EPs.
Mm-hmm.
You're a media person. I want to ask you that too. How is it having the tables turned with being a media personality / journalist, like, how was it for you? Because I'm sure you were so used to, you know, doing this, being interviewed and
So
always ask
weird.
questions. Yeah, how was
I
it
am
for
so
you?
much more comfortable doing this, by the way,
I,
because I grew up doing this, right?
yeah,
So when the tables turned, it was a very weird thing, you know. But I gotta say, I think people enjoy talking to me because I come from their place. Like
yes,
they don't feel that like journalistic, like,
yeah,
try to back them into a corner. I'm just like, let's
uh-huh,
kick it, let's talk. Tell me what you want to talk about. And I find that those things are the most interesting things anyway. And people,
100%.
when they feel comfortable, they share things that, they share exclusive things that you
Yeah.
wouldn't get if you ask, the standard questions. So yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I mean, now I just wrote my first book, so I'm also now an author.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
yes, and I run a ministry with my husband, a
Yeah.
worldwide ministry. So it's like all over the world and here, and so I am very, very busy. Music, ministry, book, journalist, media, doing all these things. I have a TV show.
Yeah, in the
Um,
mix. Which
Yes,
you, yeah.
in the mix, yes. So I'm really excited about that. It's getting shopped around now, for some major networks. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I want to ask you too, like, how has it been? Like you said in the beginning, it was just more music, and now you're an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? You are doing everything.
How did this happen?
Yeah, like, because you don't. I mean, I guess people do it a lot in, later in their career, but
Yeah,
to
right.
do I mean, you're doing a lot at one time. Like, was it
And I
hard for you
gotta
to
tell
juggle at
you,
first?
none of this was pursued. I didn't pursue any of this. Once I really got to solidify who I was
Uh huh.
and get comfortable in my skin again, I felt like God was like, okay, now go back out and share,
Yeah.
share the hope that you have and share your gift, and I got married,
Yeah.
around that same time. So it was like perfect timing. And as I was out there, I was, making appearances on TV shows, sharing my story, sharing my transformation. Sometimes people will start off in the church
Uh huh.
and then they become big, and I like became big, and then I was like, I need to go to church.
Church.
It's like one of those things. So it was a different story that people were not used to hearing, and I just began to travel and do stuff like that. And in the
Yeah.
midst of that, one of the networks that I was on, they were just like, Jeannie, like, you should have your own show. Like, I think you have something special. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right. It was
Sure.
like
Why
that.
not? Let's try it.
Yeah. And that's how In the Mix was born. And then now In the Mix has even morphed into something even cooler and more intimate, where, it's like I give them interviews and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that with all the cool things that I'm doing, but I take them behind the scenes and I show them, my life and my
Yeah.
take on it, and like, this is what it's really like,
Like,
like, you guys see all the glamour and like, we're sweating up here on the red carpet or whatever. So I get to kind of do that, and I really enjoy it now. In the beginning, I was nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so bad. I thought that I would have to practice everything, but
you really
I
don't.
realized I'm the winger. I'm a
You
winger.
have to be. I'm the
Yeah,
same way. I have my little bullet points.
yeah,
That's all
that's
you
it.
need. And like you
That's
said,
it.
I don't like to be, because I'll watch some interviewers, which I'm not saying it's not a bad way of interviewing, but I like the more organic, like how me and you are talking. I don't like
Yes,
it so, like you said,
yes,
like, let me write out a whole entire sentence question. Like,
yeah.
no, that's so. I watched my first interview I ever did, and I like cry because I'm like, oh my God, why am I so, looking at the full question and reading off and then looking up, and I'm like, oh man, this is so unnatural and uncomfortable. But I'm like, hey, you live and learn, and
That's
that's life.
That's
But
how mine was too. Trust me. So yeah,
yeah,
and then once you do it, you get used to it. And now, the other day I had an interview and I thought it was an hour later than it was.
oh,
And then I get a text message like, "Hey, are we still on?" And I literally was like, "I need 5 minutes." Like, did full glam, like turned on my lights, got behind the green screen, in front of the green screen, and like literally had to wing everything because I was not prepared. I thought I had an hour, so I was gonna take that hour, prepare
yeah,
myself.
mm-hmm,
So, I'm grateful that I can do stuff like that, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, yeah, I know how you feel, because that is, because I always get nervous still, but I get good nervous. I get like,
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah, like,
nervous,
yeah.
not like, oh my God, I'm gonna, do bad. I always think, okay, this is gonna be awesome. Like, and I feel like that's necessary to like to do this. I feel like if you don't
Yeah.
have it, it's like, what's
Yeah.
really the point? It's not a passion. It's not something you really enjoy. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I love you said that, like, it's more organic interviews, because I
Yeah.
hate when people do those such dry, monotone interviews, like
Yeah.
question, answer with a
Yeah, I mean,
microphone.
people don't. I just people don't respond to that. Like even
Not
me,
at all.
like if somebody interviews me that way, I'm just like, let's loosen up. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of get them to loosen up. And now, but now I respect journalists and media people so much more than I ever did before. I gotta say that. It's real out there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite. I'll share this because this was pretty life changing. My best interview, or like my bucket list interview, and I did, was with Denzel Washington,
Yeah.
and
That's.
it changed my life. I mean, we were talking there. Um, the PR person tried to set it up like, hey, don't ask this, don't do
Mm-hmm.
this, stuff like that. But, I said something to him kind of like, talk to me. Like, I'm young. My generation needs guidance, like
Yeah.
something like that. And like, it was almost like the Papa Bear in him just was like I need to take this moment to preach to her
Yeah.
because like I touched something in his heart, and he like laid hands on me, like on my shoulder, and he spoke into my life. And he
Those are the
pretty much
best.
told me, it was right before I started doing all this media
Uh
stuff.
huh.
Like at this point, it was my job. So I was
Uh huh.
doing journalism because I wanted a consistent paycheck,
Yeah.
because the industry does not give you a consistent paycheck, just
Not at
so
all.
everyone knows. You get paid quarterly, and then sometimes it's $18, and sometimes it's $1,800 or $18,000. Like you never know.
Yeah.
But I needed something consistent. I wanted something stable. And so I started doing this as a job at first. I'm just like, what am I good at? Well, I grew up in the industry, so maybe a media job? I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
try it. It was kind of one of those things. It was a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the company that I worked for was just like, hey, we know you have no experience on this side, but you might be really cool. Like,
Yeah.
let's just meet you. I think they just wanted to meet, like, the pop star who was signing up to be a reporter for them. And then, so this was like, I had been doing it for some time now. And then I sit with Denzel, and I'm kind of asking him like, hey, the world's crazy out here. What could you share with us? And he knew that I was coming from that faith-based perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And he just took it as an opportunity to preach to me. And yeah, he basically just put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, you have to do with your generation, you have to do what's available to you.
Yeah.
Use media, use these outlets to share the message of hope that you have. And I had already been feeling that, that's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
But from that moment on, I knew it was almost like God used Denzel Washington
Washington to tell you that. Yeah.
to
That's.
speak to me and tell me that I would be doing ministry and music and my TV show and all this through media. And
Yeah.
it would be like heavy media. And then here we are in 2020,
Funny.
and the whole world
Yeah.
has to do everything through media. I'm just like, whoa.
It's crazy how you
We've
put
been
that in
doing it
perspective.
we've been doing it for now like 3 years, my husband and I. We oversee people in India, in California, in Texas, in New York, and we're in Orlando now. So it's like, if it wasn't for media, then, and if it wasn't for Denzel Washington really encouraging me, I don't know if I would have been brave enough to do it. But look, here we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, just you're. It's just great to hear your story, because I just feel like so many people at that time in the industry get so caught up, and like you said, a lot of them fall into drugs, and some aren't even here today with us anymore, which is unfortunate, because it's just people think fame is the glitz and glam, and it's really not. It could be. It's like 1% of it, really,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
it's momentary. It's the shallow, because at the end
exact,
of the
and it's
day,
hard work.
you have to go home with
Yeah,
yourself still, and when
exactly,
everything turns off, and you have
exactly.
to face yourself, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
it gets hard, and that's where a lot of people are looking for an outlet. you know, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to have, you know, Jesus, and to really
Yeah,
just develop a personal relationship where even when I am feeling, you know, insignificant or just not good enough, I can turn to him and be like, you know, but I know that for you, I'm good enough. Like for you, I'm
exactly.
enough. And that fills my heart. And you know, we need more of that. We need more
No,
people that are
100%.
willing to fill their voids with God, you know, with God instead of,
Yeah,
you know, trash.
exactly. Because that's what happens a lot of the time, which is unfortunate. But you know, to wrap up, I don't want to take all your time because I know you're busy. You know, how does it feel to like being recognized still? Because like if I see you on the street, I'll be like, oh my God, that's JEANNIE Ortega. Like I would
Yeah.
know right away because I'm just a music head. Like
Oh,
I've loved music since I was little. Like I was buying single cassettes rather than buying toys. Like my mom would bring me
oh,
to Sam Goody and Coconuts and
wow.
music. What was it, like Music Land or Tower Records and
Well,
Virgin
God bless
Megastore.
you, and I thank God for people like you. You know, you guys are the reason why we even still do music. You know,
Yeah.
where and we want to put it out. You
Uh
know,
huh.
because it's like I know there are people that will appreciate what you do, and we're in a great time where everyone can release their music. You know,
Yes.
um, but yeah, sometimes it can be discouraging, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in a whole different world, and streaming is so different than when people were doing what you said you just did.
I miss them days. I
Yeah,
miss
me too. Those
buying
were
my
the
single
good
cassettes
days.
and
Those
CDs
were
and
the good days when
reading
you
the
were
production work.
reading the lyrics, right,
Yes, the
on the
lyrics, the
booklet.
writers, where you
Oh,
recorded it at. I used to love looking at that. Who were the producers, engineers?
yeah,
You
I
know?
still do that. I still release albums. I don't do like so. I don't mass produce like
Yeah.
physical copies
Mm-hmm.
because not a lot of people do. You know, they mostly
Yeah.
buy digital. But I still create digital copies because of like that. I'm just like you.
Yeah. I
You
miss
know?
that. And people
Yeah.
don't do it. And I always tell people, like, new artists, I'll tell them, like, do that. Please. Like, it's
Yes.
just, I remember my booklets would, like, fall apart because I would look through them so much for the lyrics
Oh, I
or, you
love
know,
that.
yeah, you know, like,
I mean,
study them. Like, that's
I
just,
get, you know, I get kind of weirded out when people like recognize me. I'm always like, you know, it's weird, but I'm grateful. You know, I'm
yeah.
like, wow, like you really were a fan, you know. And so I thank you and appreciate you for even wanting to chat, you know.
No,
And
thank you so much. I was like, I had my list and I was thinking of everyone I wanted to interview because I'm like, this is a great time because everyone's kind of stuck at home and people, like you said, people are still busy, but it's
yeah,
easier to,
I'm busier than ever.
yeah, but it's easier to get an
It
interview in,
is.
I guess,
It is.
than, you know,
Yeah.
in person or because when, you know, when people are allowed out, we're really busy compared to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, true.
now. But I want to thank you so much for your time. You know, I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
I'm a huge fan. I can't wait to personally meet you. I definitely got to
We
meet some
have
way,
to do it.
somehow.
We
Yeah,
have to
either
make it
if I ever
happen.
come to Florida or you come to Chicago or if we're ever in New York, because I'm always in New
Okay.
York or LA
I'm in New
or,
York a lot too. Yeah, and I go to LA a lot too. So
yeah,
yeah. Well, you know what? We follow each other, so we'll keep in touch that
yeah,
way.
definitely. I appreciate you so much. And, you know,
Thank
just
you.
stay healthy, stay blessed. I appreciate you for this. And yeah, thank you so much.
You too. You too. And just, you know, my message to you would be to anybody out there, you know, now's a good time to fill yourself with God, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The world is going to get darker, you know. It's just like every day, you know. We're just like, is Godzilla coming next month? You know, like
Yeah,
you know, it's really
we don't know.
it's crazy. So it's just you have to stay encouraged. Encourage
Yeah.
yourself, you know, get in the word and read, you know, read some things that are going to lift your spirit and
Mm-hmm.
just make you know that you're here for a purpose. We're all still here. We're all
Yeah.
still breathing, right? We have our health. So let's make the best of it. Let's go and be a light. Let's go and be hope for others. And I
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that because I see that in you. So you keep
Thank.
doing that.
I appreciate it so much. I really do appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, well, have a great night. Stay safe, and I'll definitely talk soon.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jeannie.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Bye.
Bye.